Well, that was an electric side if I ever saw one. Whew. Hey, boys and girls, welcome to another day with your host, Ranger Matt, Slick, better you. It is great to be here. How is everybody doing here today? Well, you're probably looking at that red straw I got over there. This is the red vitamin liquid you need after a long day of work. And no, it ain't the Cabaza alcohol. Let's put that down. All right, I got a good friend of mine here today. I know the last few times I've had some guesses on from the Barney category, and I do have a Barney guest that's going to be on in a few weeks that people have asked about. But today we're doing something different. I got a voiceover actor who, well, I guess in a way we are going to talk about Barney as well. But I'm happy to have him on. He is going to be the next Clint Eastwood. He's going to be the next Death Wish. Charles Bronson, if you know who that is. He is going to be the next Martin Lawrence. He is going to be the next everybody and our next president of the United States. I keep telling him he should run. Good friend of mine. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Voiceover actor himself. Korey Durham is here. What's going
That
on,
was an
man?
that was quite an introduction. What's going on?
Man, it is going good. It is going good, my friend. In the wonderland of the voiceover world.
Yeah,
In a world. In a time.
in a world. Yeah.
Man, so let's get to the nitty gritty of this. Let's take it back with you for a bit.
Okay.
Growing up, when did you know that voice acting was something you want to get into?
I was pretty young. I didn't know. I guess I probably didn't know that it was like I'm gonna go into voice acting. But at a very young age, I was like, I really like doing voices. I like to try to sound like people and do these different things and try to change my voice and probably when I started watching Looney Tunes, and I learned about Mel Blanc, and I was like, this guy's doing all these voices, and I was like, that sounds like fun.
Right.
So I started trying to learn how to do those voices.
And I learned how to do Bugs Bunny, and that's one of my favorite impressions to do, Doc.
Oh my goodness gracious. Goodness. So does that mean you're going to be in the next Space Jam they do?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll make another one after that last one. I wasn't really a fan of the last one.
I haven't fully seen it, but I'm more for the original one that we all know
Yeah,
with
it's
Michael
it's
Jordan.
nowhere as it's nowhere as good as the original at all. In fact, I
Right.
showed my daughter Space Jam the other day for the first time, and she loved the first one. And then she was like, "Is there another one?" And so I put on the second one, and she watched like 10 minutes of it, and she goes, "Daddy, I don't like this one." And I was like, "Okay, well, you feel the same way I do."
Right. Yeah, it's something about the classics, I mean, I know it's hard to make sequels, but then certain films is like, yeah. And then with that one, I kind of felt like if they was going to do it, they probably should have did like a year or two after the first one. Because once Charles Barkley and Jordan all them retired, it's like, I just don't. No offense to
Yeah,
Kobe, but I just don't see that work.
it doesn't have any of those people in it anymore. It has just LeBron. He's the only one in it, and I'm not a huge LeBron fan. So, but I'm also really not a sports guy at all. So I know nothing about sports almost at all.
Right. Same way. Man, so you grew up with the Looney Tunes and you just did the Bugs Bunny impersonation.
Yeah.
So, well, one factor that has been the main conversation in my podcast is for the last few weeks, and you know why. Barney was subject to a lot of
Yeah.
kids and what have you. Now, was that something you watched a lot growing up as a kid?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I grew up I was born in '93, and so that was like when it started on PBS was like a year or so before that, I guess. And yeah, it was a huge deal when I was a toddler. So it was like the biggest thing. I went and saw Barney live in concert. And not the one that's on the video, but it was one of the ones at the Majestic Theater, and I saw two of them. I saw the Magical Castle, and I saw Birthday. No, Big Surprise. And yeah, it was a huge part of my childhood when I was like a toddler.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky that you went to see Big Surprise because that one I did not see. I had the video, but I didn't see the live show. But I did get to see Musical Castle. That was a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Well, how does someone like yourself who does amazing voiceover, upcoming voiceover actor, like how do you compare that voice of yours? Do you drink a lot of water, vitamins? Like, how do you keep that voice so fresh?
Yeah, I drink a lot of water. I don't really drink sodas almost ever. When I do, it's like Big Red, and it's like once every couple weeks. So I drink a lot, mostly water and tea. If you know, I also um, I live in an area where we have a lot of allergies, so that's kind of not the best for what I'm doing. So I have to take like a Zyrtec every day, and I actually take bee pollen. I don't know if you know about that, but I take that every single day
Mm.
because otherwise I get Other than that, I don't really do any like there's no any secrets that I do. It's like, oh, I do this to keep my voice prepared. No, I don't do that. I don't.
So,
I don't
bee,
even think about that.
bee pollen.
Yeah,
So,
so it has to be
mm,
local to your area. So you got to find a local beekeeper. But if you're somebody who gets like sinus infections and stuff a lot, like I was, if you can find a beekeeper where you live that's going to have pollen that's from where you're at, so it works. You just take a little, like a quarter size, like little like thing, a pinch of bee pollen, and you swallow it with water, and it will basically build your immunity up to the pollens in your area, and you won't
wow.
get the allergies as bad. So that's helped a lot. I've got my dad doing it now too, and he's like, he lives by it now too. So it was my mom that got me doing it because she started doing that.
Mm. So what you're saying is you take the letter V of something and you go out in the pollen after you then cut the grass, and then you have V pollen. That's what you're saying.
No, 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 not exactly.
Man. So you just did Bugs Bunny. Like, what other variety of characters have you done?
Well, Looney Tunes. I do, of course, Bugs Bunny, and
Daffy Duck, that's another one that I do. Hoo-hoo!
and that kind of stuff. And let's see.
I thought I saw a putty tat. I did see a putty tat.
And trying to
That's all, folks.
do that one, and I can do a lot of Looney Tune characters. Some of them are like one-offs, things that were only on like a few episodes.
Mm.
And then I do. Let's see. Some of the other ones I've done is
Chuck E. Cheese's, where a kid can be a kid.
Oh my goodness
and
gracious!
stuff like that, and Ren and Stimpy.
Hey, Ren, will you button me? Stimpy, I shall kill you.
And that kind of stuff. And trying to think of what else. Oh, Scooby-Doo! Where are you, man? Ooh, over here. Scooby-Dooby-Doo! That kind of stuff. I do a bunch of different cartoon characters and stuff like that. And then, yeah. There's a lot of them on my Instagram.
You are our new Mel Blanc now because you can do all these characters like that. That man, I loved all those characters growing up. Daffy Duck, I could never understand where he was saying half the time. Sometimes, no, not it. Well, actually, no.
Porky, right?
Right. I take that back though. I met Donald Duck. I couldn't understand, but Daffy, he was the funny one, and he always had this tongue spitness about him when he spoke all the time.
Yeah.
Wabbit season, duck season. Wabbit season, duck season. Wabbit season, wabbit season. Duck season, wabbit season. I say it's duck season, and I say fire.
That kind of thing. He always tricked him with the pronouns.
Right. Man, me oh man. Well, we talked a bit about this backstage. I'm just beside myself because here we go, man. Now I gotta say, like, did you like have an interest to do this? Like, were you doing characters when you was like in high school or college?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Did your friends know this?
Yeah, like in fact, whenever I was doing these all the time, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, you're so good at that." And then I was going to do something with it right out of high school, and I didn't because I got married and to somebody who I'm no longer with. I'm with someone else now. But it was a really stupid. I was 19 and got married like an idiot, and that was not a good decision. And that kind of distracted me for several years, and I didn't really do anything with the voice acting or any of that. And I got into a regular job, and then I got with my wife now that I've been with, and she was kind of like, she saw me doing all this stuff, and she's like, "You're really, really good." And then my uncle and my dad and my mom and my brother and all these people in my, everybody's like, "You need to do something with this." And they've been pushing me for years. And I'm just like, I'm not that great. I don't know if I'm that good. Kind of felt like maybe they were just telling me that because they loved me and they were my family. But then there was a video with like Billy West, that does all the Futurama voices. He did a video during COVID where he was reviewing people doing impressions of his characters. And I had actually done a Doug Funny impression. I did it way back when I was like 13. So it was like not very good, but it was close enough for a 13-year-old, And anyway, he was reviewed my impression of that. And he was like, "It's really darn good." And he started telling me, he was like, "You're doing really good. And like, bravo." And I was like, okay, well, if he thinks it's pretty good, maybe I should I can do that voice way better now, So I was like, maybe I should do something with that. And
Doug Bunny.
My wife pushed me.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, that you have a good supporter behind you.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you make these decisions and moves based upon your line of work. I mean, I didn't know that. I mean, it's like, now we're in the Doug. Okay, and then
Doug Bunny.
I mean, I can slightly do what's it, Roger. I can slightly do that one, but the actual Doug, that's me. Nope, can't do that one. Man,
Yeah.
what I asked all my guests this. I'm gonna throw this on you. What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh man, I have a very wide range of stuff, movies and music that I listen to. I would say like my favorite singers are Dean Martin. I like Sinatra, but then I also like like hair metal and punk rock. My favorite, I'm wearing a Bowling for Soup hat, which I know the lead singer of Bowling for Soup because we become friends. I used to go to his shows because they were based out of the Dallas area. And so I lived an hour and a half north of Dallas. And I used to go to a lot of their shows as a teenager, and they were really nice. Like they'd hang out after the show and talk to everybody and, want to get to know the fans a little. And, but anyway, so over many, many, many shows, probably I would say at least 12 or 13 shows over a handful of years. I got to know him and he ended up adding me on Facebook. Well, then I started doing all this voice acting stuff and he saw it and he was like, "Dude," he's like, "I had no idea you could do this stuff." He's like, "This is awesome." And then he's like, "Man, I'm such a fan, And I was like, that's cool. Cause he's also the voice of Chuck E. Cheese. And so he saw me doing Chuck E. Cheese and he was like, "Dude, don't take my job." And I was like, "I'm not going to take your job." And
my gosh.
Yeah. He was laughing. And then he had me on his podcast like a month or so back. Rockstar Dad Show, and that was fun. That was like a dream come true, kind of like he's one of my idols as a child, and getting to become friends with him has been cool. And he was like, he gave me some, he put me and my wife on the guest list to go to some live shows, and that was fun. We got to go do VIP stuff for free, which was cool.
Wow.
And yeah, super nice guy.
I need to get your autograph now.
I had a whole bunch of people asking me for autographs, which I thought was crazy because like I've never would have thought that I'd be signing autographs. And so, but it was right after the Barney thing. So I talked to Bob and I was like, "Bob, give me some advice on what can I do to keep myself out of trouble, but be able to do that for people who want one." And he kind of told me what to do. And so I did that. And so I'd been selling them for like, I think it was like $15. It's enough to get them printed and to ship them and make like $2 or $3. I'm not really trying to make money off of it. Just trying to, if people want one. I don't really promote it that much.
Well, it's going to be worth millions, Somebody's going to get it.
I don't know, maybe.
On Amazon, eBay, Twitter. It's going to be, Mattel might have it one day and be like, "Hey, you want an autograph? This is Korey Durham. He has done these voiceover work. It's worth millions of
maybe.
dollars, man.
That'd be cool.
Well, I believe in that.
Yeah.
Well, what was that like? I mean, I know you've been listed Barney related as well, and I was going to say you recently met Bob West. What was that experience like?
Yeah.
Talk to the audience with that.
That was awesome. So, I always say this anytime I'm on anything because it's how I feel. It's the truth. Bob is Barney. Okay. Bob is Barney. I'm just somebody who got lucky enough to be asked to do the voice of Barney for something for Mattel. I'm not, Bob is Barney.
Right.
He's who I grew up with. He created that voice. That whole character is almost him. I mean, I've gotten to know him, and that's just almost who he is in a way. I mean, it's a big part of who he is. And so, getting to meet, he messaged me a couple of years ago, like a year ago, maybe probably, and was like, said, because I had sent him a video of me doing the Barney voice. This was before I did the thing with Mattel. And he was like, wow, it's really good. And he gave me some pointers. He's like, here's what I would do to make it even better. But it's really, really, really close. And so I did, I took that advice because that was good advice. And then I got the Mattel thing, and then he heard it. He was like, you're even closer than you were before. So you definitely have gotten better. And he reached out to me after that video came out, and he was congratulatory, and he was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm happy for you, which was awesome. That's pretty cool. And then, and then he was like, hey, I'm like 6 months ago, he's like, hey, I'm going to be in San Antonio. If you want to come hang out, come see me. And because he doesn't ever come to Texas. This is I think it's the first con he's done in Texas, maybe ever. And so he was like, yeah, come up here and we'll hang out a minute. So I went up there and did that, and that was fun. And so we made a video together, and where we were, it's all good. Where we were playing, we were singing the "I Love You" together, and that was really, really fun. That was something I'll cherish forever, having that video,
Well, if you can join me in this moment real quick, I was going to say you can do the later years of Barney. I wish I could, but for me, Barney in the early years was way down here. Hi, kids. Or how are you, Peter? That's as close as I can get with that voice. And then PBS.
Why, hello there, Tina. It's so great to see you. It's like real low. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've never really tried to do that voice, but I could probably do it better if I, actually tried. But most people don't ever try to do that impression. But I will say the Backyard Gang, the first suit is probably, it's a tie between that suit and the one that they used in Live at New York City, Radio City Music Hall. Those are my two favorite Barney suits. I really like that first suit. I think it's so cool. It's sad that it was made out of the material that it was and didn't last. But I really I think had it been made today with the technology that we have now, where it would have the true color would have came through and not looked like it did on a VHS tape. I think because when you see photographs of it, it's like, wow, that's a really cool purple. I really liked the look of it. And I liked the facial structure. I thought it looked more like a dinosaur, which I thought was cool, because I was a little kid, and I was like, I love dinosaurs. I think they're cool. So yeah, I thought I like that suit. I think it's probably one of my favorites. It's between that one and the Radio City Music Hall one, which I think was season maybe 3 or something.
Yeah.
That's my favorite two suits for sure.
Well, that's hard for me. I mean, I never picked what was my favorite ones, but I will add on to what you said though. I didn't watch the first 3 with Sandy Duncan until years later. Like the Waiting for Santa period was when I started watching it. But I will say what benefited their early years though is he was actually purple, because for years as a kid I was like, why are they calling him purple? And he's like pinkish, reddish, magenta, like kind of
he's
color.
magenta, I think is the technical.
So I could never understand why they called him purple, but then if you watch Sandy Duncan, I'm like, okay, now he's purple. Years later, he looks more pink, magenta. So for years, I couldn't figure that out. And it's interesting that in them 3 videos with that design and color, I think if they had time to make that work, I think that could have worked in a way, and he did look more like a dinosaur compared to the later years. In later years, he looked
Yeah.
like a different kind of homey like kind of dinosaur. But
Yeah, what I mean
yeah,
is like it's like the jaw structure and the eyes, how the eyelids were and all of that, like the nostrils, everything about the face in that first suit is like really, really cool to me. Like I almost kind of wish they'd have just like tried to make that suit again, you
right.
know, but they kept kind of morphing it, which I get with the technology. Then, like I was saying, I get why they would shift it to a lighter color, because they were like, it's not coming through the right color is what we actually see in person. So I get where they're coming from.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say too about when we were talking about the voices, when his voice was deep like that early on, I didn't know that was still Bob West. I thought that was
Yeah.
somebody else because I was like, how do you have that clean voice that we knew from the series in the early years, make it deep like that in your throat? Like
Yeah.
I literally thought because he sounded like a Barry White bass voice. I thought that was totally somebody else. I didn't know it was still Bob West.
Yeah. That's pretty cool that I
Yeah.
mean, he does a lot of voices too. I don't know if you know this about Bob. I don't know if he's told you or if anybody, I don't think it's widely known, but he actually apparently auditioned for Space Jam in the 90s. His audition reel is on his website. If you go to bobwest.com, you'll find his audition reel, and he's doing Bugs and Daffy and all these characters. And I was impressed. I was like, he's not actually he's pretty good at those. And I thought that was cool when I found that out. It gave me something to say to him whenever I was like, man, that audition reel was awesome. And he goes, nobody knows about that.
I remember him telling me about that a bit when I spoke to him. I was like,
Yeah.
"You did? Oh, so
Yeah.
you did all them characters? Okay." But I didn't know that.
Should
But
have
yeah,
should have had him try to do the characters. That would have been awesome to see that. 20 something years later. I wonder if he's even does them anymore.
yeah. Well, what is your legacy, Korey?
I don't know. It hasn't really happened. No, I mean, a lot of people. I think it's a cool thing to be a small part of the Barney, history, I guess. So that's cool. But I like creating new voices. I also like taking on characters that I can do voices for. So like the Barney thing. It would be cool to be able to do anything Looney Tune related. That would be like dream come true, because that's like my favorite thing ever.
Right.
And but I like to do I like to create new things, new voices, come up with just take a character from the start. Here's a picture of this character. Here's what he kind of acts like. Figure out what kind of voice he would have. That to me is fun. That's it's just a creativity thing that's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, if anything, my whole purpose of doing this was just, I really like doing this. And, if I can make, it's never, and it still isn't about, oh, can I make a bunch of money doing it? That's not really what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it because I really like it and I really enjoy doing it. And, if I get a little bit of work over the next 20 years or something, that to me, that I'm able to do anything with it is great. So, that's kind of how I see it.
You know what I would love one day to see you do? If 'cause the one thing I've always thought about doing, I don't know if I would actually do it or not, was recreating a commercial from the 80s or 90s. I would love to see you do one of those, like come to Mako, or like the card place Mako, or
Yeah.
like a food product, like something from that period. And I would love to see you like voice over that.
One of the commercials I talk about all the time, and that it's funny because I work at a second job where I manage a convenience store, and it's my primary job, but it's my primary income. But I kind of shifted my focus over to the voice acting, and that's really what I spend my time thinking about. But this other job, I work with a lot of like people who are in their like early 20s or still a teenager.
Right.
And when I talk about this commercial, they don't know what I'm talking about because it was like from the 90s. But those Gushers commercials where they would eat the Gushers and their head would turn into a watermelon or a strawberry.
Right.
And I loved those. Like, Gushers, taste the blast, that kind of thing. I was like, oh my gosh. And I showed one of them this video, one of the commercials, and they were like, that is really weird. And I was like, yeah, but I remember it. And to this day, if I see a package of Gushers, I'm like, I've got to get those because I remember that commercial. I thought the commercials of that era were very creative, and they were very, they caught your attention way more than they do now.
See, now you make me want to do the Skittles, taste the rainbow, or the traditional of EA Sports to the game, the PlayStation.
EA Sports, it's in the game. The other random thing that I do. Have you ever played Donkey Kong 64?
I have not played that.
Okay, so those who have, the beginning where he's like, okay, that's what he sounds like. When you turn on the game, that's the first thing you hear is okay.
Oh my gosh.
Which is wild.
I think I had one Donkey Kong game growing up as a kid, but it was always Mario that I had growing up.
Yeah.
And then
the Donkey Kong Country games were phenomenal. Like on the Super Nintendo, great games. I actually played one of them all the way through and beat it a couple months ago. And I was like, this is such a great game still.
Okay, well, since I got you, this is something new I'm going to do for my podcast. Since I'm getting back into it and we're on that subject, let me ask you now. So, and we're going to get back to your current work today, but the video games, like, what is there a system what is a game system that you never had growing up?
I had
or have, but never had.
I have all of them almost, as far as like I still have everything that I had as a kid. We kept it. We never like sold them or anything. So I have an original Nintendo, a Super Nintendo. I have a Wii. I have a GameCube. I have a PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5.
Yeah.
I've got, but it's not like I've bought all these recent. Like I've had them for, I've still got my Nintendo 64. I still have. I never really owned a lot of the handhelds. So like right. I had a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color, and I think a Game Boy Advance, but I never had anything after that. So like I didn't have a DS. I never had a PSP or any of those handhelds. So I do have a Switch now, which I love the Switch. That was kind of all I had. I have a lot of games. I don't play a lot of games though, really anymore.
Right.
I don't know if it cut out or not. It looked like it did.
I got the tail end when you said you don't play the games anymore, so I got that part in.
I do play games, but I don't play them like all the time. My wife plays a lot more games than I do.
Yeah. The only thing I really had over the years for me was I had Super Nintendo twice. Once when I was a kid, and then we got it at some point when I was older. So I had that twice. I had Nintendo 64. I still got my PS1. It was like, and I got one of them smaller ones that was like only $50 at Best Buy. So I still got that. We was talking about getting the Xbox, but that never happened. So I had Sega Genesis, which I adore because I was a Sonic fan. Like Sonic and me, like that, I went Sonic crazy as a kid. So
I never had a Genesis, but my uncle did, and so I would play it at his house. And yeah, I loved Sonic because of that. So now I have I actually have downloaded all the old Sonic games on my Switch and stuff. So it's been fun to replay some of those.
Yeah. Every once in a blue moon, I would get online and play one of the old Sonic games or Pac-Man, because I played Pac-Man too. And the only other thing I had toward the end was Game Boy Color, and then my Game Boy Advance. But after that, I never had the Wii and Cube, and then as I got older, video games and me just parted ways. So
yeah. Nowadays
is either Uno or Spades, the card games. That's if I play this either that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get to play a lot of current games. My niece and my nephews, a while back, like when they were on spring break this year, they were like, "Hey," they call me Uncle Cuckoo, which is hilarious, right?
Uncle Cool.
They were like, "Uncle Cuckoo, can you play Fortnite with us?" And I was like, "I've never played Fortnite in my life, but I guess." So I downloaded it and played it with them, and then I was like, I found myself over the next 2 or 3 weeks playing that game way late at night with other random people, and then started
Wow.
finding people that play it. So I kind of backed off of it because I was playing it way too much. So now I play it like once a week, but it's okay. It's all right.
See, now I gotta ask. So Uncle Cuckoo. Now, when they called you that,
That's my brother. They did not come up with that. My brother, when he was really like an infant, like or a baby and everything, when he started talking, he couldn't pronounce my name, so he called me Cuckoo. So he told them to call me that.
wow.
And then but he's always trying to be funny. So like he also told his kids to call my dad and his dad Papa Pickle for some random reason. I think it was just to be funny. And that stuck, and they call him that now. So
Okay.
everybody's always like, "Why do they call you Papa Pickle?" And my dad's like, "Because my son's an idiot." And I just think it's funny.
Okay. So let me investigate this. I gotta get my Ranger-ness in me going on. So Papa Pickles. Now, did that play a part of the Pickle family from the Rugrats or Captain Pickles
No,
from DJ?
probably not. I don't even know. I'd have to ask him, but I think he was. It might have had more to do with Pickle Rick from the Rick and Morty thing.
Mm.
So that may have been what it was.
Uncle Cuckoo. Like now, were they watching Barney with Kookaburra Simpson or that song?
I don't know. This is my brother. Whenever he was I think it was just he just couldn't say it. So I don't know.
Well, that's something we got put in under your stage name. This is Korey, aka
Uncle Cuckoo.
Cuckoo. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
Man, well, talk about your current work. Oh, I saw that. There he is. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Why, hello there. How are you? It's so great to see you.
It's good to see you too, buddy. Hey, Barney.
Yeah.
The barn man.
Everybody always asks me to do that.
Well, you came prepared.
As Karan always tells me, he's like, "That's a great party trick to be able to do that voice."
Right.
What happens is if you do it out in public, they either look at you and they're like, "I don't like you now," or they look at you and they think it's the best thing ever. So it's never in the middle. It's never like, "Oh, that was kind of cool." It's either like, "Oh my God, that was amazing. I love Barney," or it's like, "Nah, I don't like you so much anymore," which is funny.
Well, because I came prepared with one little thing today. I was going to say, now, since you did that, I was going to say, now, I do not own a plush, unfortunately. I thought I did, but I don't. But I still have this on standby.
Look! There's something in the bushes! Oh, run! Oh, okay, go that way. We've already been there. Oh, no! I'm lost! Oh, wait for me!
Love it.
Yeah, well, that particular production video was something I played over. I still remember going to my grandfather's house playing that, and I'm going, "Why did I bring this to my grandfather's house for? This stay at home, but I kept it with me." Well, talk about your current work. You're actually working with somebody that worked on Barney. Is that correct? To tell the audience that.
Yeah. So Jess Nelson. He's doing this show that's called The Crawligators, and I saw it, because I'm a fan of him, and friends with him on Facebook, and I saw him posting this stuff, and I was like, I basically started just commenting on it, going, "Hey, if you need voices, like, I would love to work with you. That would be really fun." And I didn't know if he was going to take that seriously or he was just going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." But right. He was like, "Yeah, send me a message. Let's talk." And he was like, "Yeah, I really like your work. You know, I like the stuff you're doing." And I was like, "Well, I've always liked your work," you know. And so yeah, so he was like, "Yeah, let's do it and let's do something." And but yeah, there's a lot of people on board with that. That I don't. A lot of them he's announced. I know that Josh Martin is going to be doing some, which he's done some Dragon Ball characters, and also was a body actor for Barney on the live shows.
Right.
Back in the I guess 2000s or early 90s, or late 90s or whatever, I'm not sure. But I got to meet him too when I went to San Antonio. His booth was right next to Bob's, and so I got to stand there and talk to him, and he was telling me that, you know, he's like, "Oh yeah, I did the body acting for Barney, and I was in the costume during the I think he said the birthday, or not birthday, but the big surprise and one of the other ones." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I guess I've seen you perform live then," because I saw that show. And he was like, "That's cool." And I said, "No, I was a toddler at the time, so I can't critique you because I don't know, I don't remember."
Right.
But it was good. No, he was great. But yeah, so he's going to do some voices in it. None of the characters have been really announced yet, so I can't talk about that. But there's a lot of content. If you go over to the Facebook page, it's the Crawligators, which is like, it's like a mix between an alligator and a crawfish.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Crawligator.
Crawligator. But it's going to be, from what I understand, it's like a Louisiana-based it's like a family show is kind of what he told me, which is, it's not really directed for, it's not like the core audience is not children, but it's not inappropriate to where children couldn't watch it. So it's like he told me it would be like family friendly, but there'll be some innuendos in there that adults will pick up on, but the kids probably wouldn't, which was interesting. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm glad he wanted me to be. And yeah, there's a lot of, Amelia that's worked on Mr. K's Clubhouse is going to be a writer for it. That was announced the other day. And there's a lot of people. I can't remember everybody. But I'm excited to just get to work with a lot of these people that are very, very talented, have been in the industry much longer than I've even, some of them before I was born or right when I was born. So it's, there's a lot of talent and a lot of, experience there to be able to work with those people is awesome.
Well, that's awesome that you're going to be in line with veterans, and I want to give a shout out to Jess Nelson, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy, and also Ray Henry, who also worked on Barney.
Yes, that's Yes, I'm excited about working with him too. That's pretty cool. That I'm getting to talk to Jess on the phone about all this and video chatting with him the other day. I was like, it was like, this is so cool because, every time that I get to talk to somebody that it's like, this is somebody that I know about, that I've know their work, and I respect their work. Whether it's him or Bob or, just some other, like the Jarrett Reddick of Bowling for Soup, and, stuff. When you get to do that, it's just like, and you're talking to him in a professional sense, but I always am like, I just want to say, so that you don't think I'm just totally ignoring, what you've done. I'm extremely a big fan of what you've done. And it's an honor to get to even talk to those people. It just blows my mind every time.
Man, Korey, you on your way, man. You're in line with veterans. You met veterans like I have, and your voiceover work is going to take off. Is there a character that you desperately would want to do, that you want to do, that you're dying to do? Like, what is the character you want to do?
It would, if I had one, it would be Bugs Bunny. But that may never happen because they have the guy Eric Baza. He's really good. So he's a younger guy. I think he's not maybe 10 or 15 years older than me, max. I don't know how old he is, but that may not ever be a possibility as long as he's doing it. So we'll see.
You never
and
know.
I wouldn't want to take anybody's job,
Well, you never know. As time goes by, he might retire it, and they may say, "Hey, we're looking for somebody to fill in." So that'll be your chance. I'm sure you got a
Yeah.
demo, so you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
man.
That would be cool.
Corey, is there a message you want to say to? Well, let me do this. So I did it the other day when I had Derek from Barney on. And no, and fans watching, no, I don't mean Derek from the Backyard Gang. I mean Derek, the guy who played the Prince, and I mean not the King and the Guard in Musical Castle. That Derek. So let me do this. Is there a message you want to say to the?
I lost you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
I see you now. Okay.
Well, I was taking myself off to zoom in on you, so you could. I was saying, is there a message you want to say to the fans that's watching, as far as doing voiceover work or any advice or anything like that?
I would just say, everybody that's been so supportive of what I do and the content that I put up, and that come and watch me when I do live streams, and all it, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now had those people not been so supportive and continue to be so supportive of what I do. And that means the absolute world to me. I try my best to always, when I have the moment, to do so, message people back. I get a lot of messages from just, people who are just like, "Hey, we love your work," or, "Hey," some of them will even message me, like, asking me, how is Barney today? And I'm like, I'm doing good. And I try to reply to everybody, and it takes some time. Sometimes it's like 2 or 3 days before I see it, but I try to, because I really, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, every person that messages me and that supports me in any way, shape, or form, it means the absolute world to me. Like, I can't say how much I appreciate it. That's probably all I would say. I mean, it's fun to be able to do something that I really thoroughly enjoy, and the fact that anybody wants to watch it and is excited about it and likes what I'm doing and supports me is like, I could never, I never would have dreamed of that. In fact, when I started this, I was like, I don't think anybody's going to watch this. That's why I was telling my wife she was like, you should put up some videos doing these voices. And I was like, who's going to care about that? Like, I don't think, I didn't see she saw the potential. I didn't. So now I kind of get it, I guess.
Well, like I said earlier, it's great that you got a good support system, that your wife is there supporting you. Your family
she's the
too,
best.
right?
Yeah, she's the best, and she's my biggest supporter. And then, like my mom, my dad, my uncle, my brother, they're have always been really supportive of trying to push me in this direction, and it's fun.
Well, we got to do this just right. Now, let me take you kids back in a time before Asian media was a main thing, before YouTube. We got in this just right, since we did mention the Purple Man himself, and since I'm speaking with one of the voices, many new voices of the Purple Man himself, we got to do this just right. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
I've missed you, Barney!
I've missed you too, Tina.
It sure is good to see you again, Barney.
I love you, you love me. We're as happy as can be, with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too?
All right, I'll try that voice again. Let me see if now that I've heard it.
I missed you too, Tina.
Something like that.
Well,
I've missed you too, Tina.
Yeah, it's really low.
it is. That's why when I said I thought it was somebody else, it was like, Bob West did that and the style we know today.
Yeah.
Because it had that very "well, you don't hear" kind of category. So, but
yeah,
you got it, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing, and I can't wait to see what else lies ahead for you, my friend.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by my podcast today. It's been a pleasure. I gotta have you back down the road, man. I know the fans will love
Yeah,
that.
for
I
sure.
would love that.
Anytime. Yeah, anytime. I'd love to. Man, I'm just knocking stuff off
You
off
really
my
are.
desk.
That's a
It's all
sign.
good.
That's a sign. He does not want to come back. The second I said that, he knocking
No,
something over.
no. I do.
All righty. Well, I appreciate this. Let me say goodbye to the audience, and we'll chat for a minute backstage. So
Okay.
wave goodbye to your fans.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Everybody. I appreciate it.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in today. This has been a lot of fun. You know, if you get into voice acting, you never know what may happen. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to stay my Ranger Matt self. I will say real quick, if you tune in, I want to say on the 22nd of Saturday, I got a guest coming on that I mentioned earlier, who you guys may love or will love. She was in the Barney world as well. And in July, I'm having a big podcast show for my 100th episode. I'm thrilled about that, and I can't wait for you guys to see who is coming on. So, in a nutshell, here we go. You can follow Korey up. Well, let me see if I can put this up here. Unfortunately, I cannot. But Korey Durham at Korey Durham Voices. Y'all can follow him on social media, and also follow him on kdvoices.com. Please tune in. Get this man signed on, because this man is going to explode, man. When they think of him, they're going to say Mel Blanc, Mel Blanc who? Bob West who? I'm just kidding. No. I'm not going to put no shit on them. Thanks, guys, for tuning in today. I appreciate it. Check Korey out. He's exploding. I'm telling you. I love this guy. Until next time, y'all have a good night now. Bye-bye.